Viv Richards will tell you that he's a straightforward, easy-to-understand kind of guy who plays cricket pretty well. Others, though, will say he's an enigma, inspiring and yet intimidating, not just as an incomparable batsman, but also as an individual, a man of moods, some as violent as the stroke-making at the wicket. What cannot be questioned, though, is the air of expectation every time he prepares to bat. Some will be consumed with hope, others with fear, even now, as his career draws to a close playing English county cricket with Glamorgan.
Playing for Glamorgan, it's a big stage because I'm playing for a team and we're striving for success. So wherever we play, if we play on the mud patch out on the beach there, most certainly I'd have to welcome it. It is a stage because of a team effort. We're trying to achieve something. So regardless of wherever the venue or the stage, you know, I'm always up to tea and wanting to go out and try my very best.
Richards' best has rarely been matched in the history of the game. 121 tests, the first West Indian to reach 100 first-class hundreds. No wonder he received such a warm welcome in the hillsides.
Ever since I came here, I think words cannot really explain, you know, how I feel towards these people because of the way they took me. And when you have that sort of a thing, you can only open up your heart, and this is why I think, you know, that I'll play my guts out for this particular county, and I hope that this club wins something pretty soon, and I would like to be a part of it.
Isaac Vivian Alexander Richards was always a wonderfully talented sportsman, but whereas on the beaches of Wales he's treated as just that, on the beaches of Antigua in the West Indies, he's a virtual deity, a candidate for king were such a position electable. His father played cricket for the island, as did his brother and half-brother. But Viv took the game onto a different plane. In his heyday, undoubtedly the finest batsman in the world. Like all great sportsmen, he always had time. Often accused of arrogance, he'd still play beach cricket, though, with all his oldest friends.
The masses took to me in a particular way. I wasn't a guy thinking, well, because of, you know, I was captain of the West Indies team, and that I had was to play the part as being captain. No, that's not Viv Richards. You know, they take me as I am because I knew where I came from.
His fame at home is measured by the name of the road that leads to the island's cricket ground. The West Indies is often divided by racial problems, but in Antigua, Viv Richards is a major unifying force. And the St John's ground, well, it's virtually his second home.
Yeah, it is mine. It is mine, yeah. Because I had a little piece of it when I was a kid, so most certainly I've got shares here.
There was a certain irony when Richards hit his great friend and rival Ian Botham all over the ground when the West Indies played England. In front of his home crowd, off only 56 balls, he scored the quickest ever century in Test match history. He was no respecter of any reputation. He walked to the wicket with a swagger and would then demolish attack after attack. His captain at Somerset, Peter Roebuck, said that in his character, as his cricket, he was a volcano waiting to explode at a moment's notice. His place in any cricket history book is assured, and Richards' memorabilia adorns every corner of the Antigua Cricket Museum. He once boasted the night before a match that he'd score 200 the next day. He did.
God gave me a talent. I put my faith and trust in God. I was brought up that way. And I believe in myself. There was a lot of people who sometimes saw the way I swagger to the crease or whatever, would think that I'm the cockiest so-and-so in the world, or the most arrogant so-and-so in the world. But I had no regrets about that. I wanted to be best. It's not just the way you walk, but what was in my heart. You know, I just felt totally confident. I had no fear about a particular bowler, whether he was going to knock my head off or anything. It was something that I said, if I die out there, I die. I believed in that because of how passionate I felt to my sport. You know, I don't think many people do feel the way I do.
Richards tore many an Australian bowler to shreds, often taunting them between deliveries. With immaculate timing and footwork, he'd make the good look ordinary and the ordinary pitiful. But he never slogged the ball. He caressed or stroked it.
He can really dominate. Once he got in, he got his eye in. He was there for half an hour, 40 minutes. He was difficult to get out, and he could play any shot that he wanted to play.
Oh, he's hit that one. It's a huge six. It's going to go out the ground. A huge six to square leg.
Magnificent shot. That's brought the crowd to life. Richards now really going.
And there's no one back there, I can tell you. When he hits them, they stay hit.
To have gone out as a West Indies unit, that feeling that everyone is in together as a unit, and I think it's the only thing that has given the Caribbean people a chance to do something as a body. We have had various moves to get the federation going. That failed. The cricket haven't. Everyone, when they turn on their radios or their television, everybody listens together. Everyone forgets about their little, insular feelings and how they do feel about another guy coming from maybe another island.
Richards sauntered along the beach as he'd saunter around the outfield, a panther, serene but alert, waiting to pounce. He played in 179 one-day internationals, a lot as captain, but many will point to the World Cup final of 1979 as his finest hour. At the headquarters of cricket, Lords, he inspired the West Indies to victory against England. The list of great players in the game's history may well include better technicians and more assiduous accumulators of runs, but few can ever have matched his style and panache. That day was a Viv Richards benefit. He scored 138 imperious runs. Refusing to wear a helmet as protection, just a cap, his perennial trademark, he'd treated with disdain the best that England had to offer. And, as on so many other occasions, he was the man of the match. The West Indies ruled the cricketing world, but nevertheless found themselves the brunt of furious criticism, and Richards was at the centre of the long-running controversy over short-pitch bowling. Widely accused of intimidation, he was furious at vitriolic press comment and also at attempts by the game's governing bodies to change the rules to counteract their attack.
It's a blatant tactic to try and stop the West Indies performing. And I just think these people are racist. They do not want to see the West Indies continue its dominance. In a sport, where a lot of people think that they have got the divine right for them to, for them to be winners. And we proved a lot of people wrong in that aspect, and I'm just sorry for cricket in the future.
After almost a decade of success with his adopted English county of Somerset, Richards left in acrimonious circumstances on a matter of principle. It was typical of the man, as uncompromising off the field as he was on it. And his departure was even harder to take, as he'd been the centre point of the county's first ever victory in the most important one-day competition in the country. Sir Leonard Hutton once said of Richards, he may talk all the time about being descended from slaves and cotton pickers, but he walks to the wicket as if he owns the plantation.
I'm a guy who I can lick my wounds whenever I'm on the ground, and I've done it on many occasions. Thank Almighty God for that. I was able to dust myself off and start all over again.
Problems, though, have followed him. Angry words with opponents and umpires, that acrimonious departure from Somerset, racial taunts from some English crowds. Playing for Antigua against St Kitts on one occasion, he refused to leave the field when given out. Mass demonstrations broke out and play was halted for fully 2 hours. His antics when an opposing player was dismissed would cause huge resentment amongst foreign observers.
Oh, he's got him, caught behind down the leg side, huge appeal, and Viv Richards has given him. I tell you what, the umpire wasn't going to give that. Richards created oh, he ran down the wicket, doing that little jiggle with his hand, and I really did think that the umpire had decided not out and gave the batsman out late.
Most notorious of all, Richards once failed to take the field with the rest of his team, preferring to go to the press room to berate a journalist.
What I certainly do, I stand up for my rights, and every time that you find someone who is willing to address the black issue, it happens all over the world. You find someone start pointing the finger. No, I had no regrets about that. I thought my shoulders wide enough. I thought I was well protected in terms of there was a God. So it's only human beings, you know, who would say, oh, Viv is a controversial sort of individual, and oh, here he goes again. Who are they?
Well, I'll tell you for sure, it ain't a good time to go and ask for his autograph. Definitely not. And it don't even matter if you're his mum, his uncle, his auntie. I should keep right away, because if he's feeling just like I thought, he's liable to hit you straight on top of the head with that bat.
The bottom line, though, about Viv Richards is that he's made a living out of hitting cricket balls, not people, with his cricket bat. And he's probably done it better than almost anybody else since the Second World War. He is, incidentally, the only man ever to represent his country in both the cricket and football World Cups. Imperious in his prime, he was Richards the Lionheart, embarking on a crusade against a set of bowlers that he was almost predestined to win. Time, though, is at last taking its toll, a diminishing eye producing diminishing results. But you can't imagine him settling for the mediocre or the mundane. Perhaps the political arena calls.
Things can be done differently. Things can be done in a nice, orderly way. Everyone thinks that to be in politics that you've got to be crooked one way or the other. I don't think that's so. If you have a people and you give the people their rights and you make the people most comfortable, that's what I think is the most important thing, and you have the masses rallying around you, then you can get certain things achieved.
A proud man, a hard man, but ultimately a sporting man, Richards used the straightest of bats as a cricketer. He vows he'll play it equally straight as a politician.
I don't think I'm a corrupt individual. I think I've always got straight through the right channel in trying to get certain things done. I'm not everyone, I'm Viv.